News from Tecumseh, Nebraska. Patrick Schroeder said little at a hearing before a three-judge panel Thursday to determine if he deserves a death sentence for killing his prison cellmate last year, a crime to which he readily admits. Still, his voice filled the Johnson County District courtroom by way of a 2006 confession he gave to law enforcement for beating a 75-year-old Pawnee City farmer to death and dumping his body in a well, and another confession he gave a year ago after strangling Terry Berry in his cell because he wouldn't stop talking. Attorneys with the Nebraska Attorney General's office used the videotaped statements as proof that district judges Vicki Johnson of Wilbur, Robert Ott of Lincoln, and John Marsh of Kearney should give him the ultimate punishment for the crime. Prosecutors alleged just one aggravator needed to make his case eligible for the death penalty. But Schroeder, who represented himself, chose not to fight the death penalty and made no argument or case for why the judges shouldn't give it to him. In an interview with NET before the hearing, the 40-year-old said, "I believe if you kill somebody, it's kind of an eye for an eye." At Thursday's hearing, Doug Warner, an assistant Nebraska Attorney General, described how it meant nothing to Schroeder to place a death-grip chokehold on Berry or beat a 75-year-old man with a nightstick. "I think one of the things that sticks out is it's really easy for Mr. Schroeder to kill," he argued. Warner described Schroeder's killing of Berry as thought out, deliberate, and pretty cold-blooded. By then, they'd already watched an hour-long video in the courtroom of Schroeder's 2006 confession in which he matter-of-factly told Nebraska State Patrol investigator Joel Bergman how he heard rumors that Kenny Albers had thousands of dollars at his acreage and that he went to the farmhouse shortly before 4 a.m. to take it from him. "I knew he had money and I was tired of pinching pennies," Schroeder said 12 years ago. He described leading Albers outside to his shop after the farmer had given him money from his lockbox. When Albers turned around a little, Schroeder said he swung a nightstick and hit him in the head. "I just kept swinging 4 or 5 times. He wasn't moving," Schroeder told the investigator. Then he tied Albers' ankle with a cable and dragged him into the bed of the farmer's truck before dumping him headfirst into a nearby well. "If you're asking if I drove there to kill Kenny, yeah, I think I did," he said then. After a jury found him guilty, he went to prison for life, which is where he was April 15, 2017, when he strangled Terry Berry, his new cellmate at the Tecumseh State Correctional Institution. "He just kept talking, just running his mouth. I got tired of it," he told Stacy Lundgren, a criminal investigator with the State Patrol. Berry had been moved into his cell almost a week earlier. Schroeder said he knew it wasn't going to work, but that prison staff just laughed when he asked for them to be separated. One said, "I'm surprised you didn't kill him yet," Schroeder told the investigator. Schroeder said Berry was a loudmouth who never quit talking and acted like he was 5, missing the toilet and laughing when he passed gas. The night he killed him, Schroeder had told Berry to shut up, but Berry just laughed, Schroeder said in his taped confession. He thought everything was a joke. Berry kept running his mouth, he said, so finally Schroeder told him he was done with this. Berry was quiet for a minute, he said, then he started up again. This time, Schroeder put him in a chokehold for about 5 minutes until he grew tired. Then wrapped a towel tight around Berry's neck. He passed out pretty quickly, Schroeder said. Schroeder said he used a call button, but prison staff never came. For the next 15 minutes or so, he talked to guys on the galley. I told them, you know how I said Terry Berry had to shut up or he's dead? Well, he's dead, Schroeder said. When a guard finally came by, Schroeder asked what the guard could do about an unresponsive inmate, then picked up Berry's leg on the floor to show him. He told Lundgren, the investigator, he just wanted Berry out of his cell. Joseph Evans, a corrections corporal at the Tecumseh prison, said Schroeder joked after, this is what happens when we watch UFC on Saturday nights, referring to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. After getting all the evidence Thursday and hearing the state's argument for the death penalty, Johnson, the presiding judge, gave Schroeder another chance. "Is there anything you would like to say?" she asked him. "No," Schroeder said. She said the panel would meet and set a date later to announce their decision in open court.
Nebraska's Democratic 2nd Congressional District candidates were in agreement on many issues in their first debate Thursday, but their different styles shone through. Former Representative Brad Ashford highlighted the friendships he'd made in Congress as proof that he'd be able to get legislation passed, and he offered what he described as realistic ideas for compromise. Nonprofit executive Kara Eastman said several times that she'd fight for the people of the 2nd District and firmly highlighted their differences, particularly her support for a Medicare for all single-payer health care proposal. The candidates met at the Omaha Press Club for a debate sponsored by Channel 6 and the League of Women Voters. The two are vying for the Democratic nomination in Nebraska's 2nd District, which includes Douglas County and Western Sarpy County. The winner in the May 15 primary will face U.S. Representative Don Bacon, a Republican who ousted Ashford after a single term. Among the areas where they agree, companies like Facebook should be subject to federal regulations. Congress should stand up to President Donald Trump. The U.S. should not enter into a trade war with China, and the federal government should raise the minimum wage. On some issues, including the minimum wage, Ashford said a new policy would have to be implemented gradually, while Eastman said she wants to see a change immediately. The biggest difference between the two was on health care. Eastman has endorsed a proposal to expand Medicare to cover all Americans. It's time that policymakers actually embrace these issues and understand that people are dying, she said. Ashford said that option is not politically feasible, but said people should have the option of buying into the Medicare system. What we need to do is find something in the center that will work, that will provide affordability and choice, Ashford said. He also referred to his promise before he took office in 2015 that he would find 25 friends from each party to help get things done. Thursday, he quipped that 25 hadn't been enough. He needed more than that to get a bill passed that paved the way for public-private partnerships to build Veterans Affairs facilities, including the new clinic in Omaha. Eastman characterized his remarks as Ashford saying he's running because he misses his friends. "I'm running for Congress because I miss my country," she countered. Ashford responded, "The relationships I've made in Congress are critical into getting legislation passed. That's the point." The two will meet again at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday for a second and final debate sponsored by the World Herald and Channel 3. It will air live on KMTV and Omaha.com.
The Lancaster County Republican Party webpage lists 2 of the 3 Republican candidates for treasurer, Matt Schulte and Alan Simpson. There are pictures where you can click and get more information on each of the 2 candidates. But there is no mention of the incumbent, Andy Stebbing, a Republican who is running for his 3rd 4-year term. We are not supporting Andy Stebbing and will not be supporting him in the primary. Even though he is an incumbent, we are not supporting him, said J.P. Savvy, chairman of the county party. I think he should resign. Savvy said he and his executive team made the decision not to support Stebbing and to leave his information off the website. I made the decision we can't support an accused felon, Savvy said. Stebbing has pleaded not guilty to 5 felonies related to selling used vehicles. His next court date related to the charges is May 11, right before the May 15 primary. Some Republicans called for Stebbing to resign after he was charged, but Stebbing has refused and is running for another term, maintaining he is innocent. Stebbing said he was aware the county party would not be endorsing him, though he didn't know his name and information were not listed on the county party webpage. Savvy told him in December the county party would never endorse anyone with pending criminal charges, Stebbing said. Savvy told him if the charges were dropped or Stebbing was found innocent, then the party could get behind him, Stebbing said. Stebbing said he understands that viewpoint, but doesn't agree with not listing all the candidates on the website. It is unusual for the county party not to support an incumbent, acknowledged Savvy, but he also said the local party has not supported any accused criminals or felons either. There are two very good candidates, Schulte and Simpson, Savvy said. The county party central committee plans to make a full endorsement of these two men for the primary at its next meeting. The Lancaster County Republican Party website also lists only the incumbent candidates for governor and U.S. Senate, Pete Ricketts and Deb Fisher, not any of the Republican challengers. Those are also endorsements, Savvy said. In addition to Ricketts, Crystal Gable of Omaha is a Republican candidate for governor. Republicans also running for the Senate position are Jack Heidel and Jeffrey Stein of Omaha, and Dennis Masick and Todd Watson of Lincoln. In the May primary, registered Republicans will select their candidates to move forward to the November general election.
The University of Nebraska Lincoln's chancellor on Thursday proposed $2.9 million in cuts from UNL's budget in 2018-19. Ronnie Green's plan includes eliminating the electronics engineering bachelor's degree and the Center for Instructional Innovation. At least 18 faculty and staff positions would be eliminated under Green's plan, UNL says. A university group called the Academic Planning Committee will hold public hearings on Green's proposals and has scheduled a hearing for May 2. The panel will make recommendations to Green, who is expected to announce his final decision by June 1. The budgets for UNL and the University of Nebraska system have been hit this year and last. For 2018-19, the NU system, including UNL, will get a 1% cut that will total $2.9 million at UNL. It is that cut that Green and the committee are dealing with now. UNL endured a $7.5 million midterm cut in 2016-17 and a mid-year cut of $5.7 million in 2017-18. Weak state revenues have been a key element in the need to trim university budgets. Although Governor Pete Ricketts wants to make a 4% cut to the NU system and the state colleges, the legislature cut that back to 1% for 2018-19. The community colleges also took a 1% hit. Among the proposed cuts at UNL, reduce the Rural Futures Institute's budget by $771,400. 5 faculty positions would be eliminated. Eliminate the Electronics Engineering Bachelor's Program, saving $350,000. 3 faculty positions would be eliminated. Eliminate the Center for Instructional Innovation, saving $169,230. The center has 1 faculty position. Shift the salary for the director of the Burroughs Center for Testing from state monies to revolving money. Eliminate pooled salary money held by the Executive Vice Chancellor's Office, saving $309,000. Move state money for the Department of Statistics from the College of Arts and Sciences to the Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources. IANR then would have to cut the equivalent of 4 faculty positions to support statistics, saving $557,000 in the process. Cut $577,000 from the Survey Research and Methodology Program. 2 faculty salary positions and 2 staff positions would be cut.
Investigators in Fillmore and Lancaster counties on Wednesday seized nearly 2,000 pounds of marijuana valued at more than $5 million and arrested 2 people in separate Interstate 80 traffic stops, officials said Thursday. Nebraska State Patrol troopers patrolling US 81 in Fillmore County seized 1,850 pounds during a traffic stop just before 6 p.m., agency spokesman Cody Thomas said in a news release. A trooper saw a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van driving on the shoulder near Geneva and stopped the van, Thomas said. The trooper became suspicious and had a drug dog smell around the van. It indicated drugs were inside, Thomas said. During their search, troopers found the marijuana as well as 8,779 doses of hash oil vape pens and 46 pounds of loose hash wax. Driver Michael Cardis, 39, of Arvada, Colorado, was arrested and taken to jail on suspicion of possession of more than 1 pound of marijuana. possession with intent to deliver, and no drug tax stamp. Shortly before 2 p.m., Lancaster County deputies just west of the Northwest 48th Street interchange stopped a 1998 Fleetwood motorhome on suspicion of several traffic violations, Sheriff Terry Wagner said. Deputies asked to search the motorhome, and Richard L. White Jr. and Joy White, his wife, allowed deputies to look inside, Wagner said. In the bedroom of the Tulsa couple's motorhome, investigators found 62 heat-sealed packages of marijuana stashed under a mattress, the sheriff said. The marijuana weighed over 116 pounds, he said. Richard White, 47, was taken to jail on suspicion of possession of marijuana with intent to deliver. His wife, 54, was ticketed and released on suspicion of the same offense. Investigators believe the couple was bound for Tulsa.
Omaha police are warning Nebraskans about a group of thieves stealing credit cards out of women's purses. Over the past 6 months, 21 such incidents have been reported in Omaha, most of them at a Panera Bread restaurant and others at retail stores in or around Westroads Mall. Most of the victims had left purses unattended or slung over a chair. In several of the cases, the pickpockets took the credit cards out of the victim's wallet and then returned the wallet to the purse, police said, often before the victims realized the cards were stolen. The thieves used the cards to purchase thousands of dollars worth of items, including electronics and gift cards. Similar incidents have been reported in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Kansas City, Missouri, Omaha police said. Police advised people not to leave purses unattended or out of sight. Other tips: carry your purse close to your body. Make sure you close your purse completely after opening it. When seated in a restaurant, do not put your purse to the outside of a bench seat or hang it on the back of a chair. Place your purse on your lap or at your feet when seated and place a leg through the strap. Make sure wallets and checkbooks aren't visible from pockets. Anyone with information is urged to contact Omaha Crime Stoppers at 402-444-7867 at omahacrimestoppers.org or on the P3 Tips mobile app.
2 academic programs and 18 faculty and staff positions are among the $2.9 million in cuts proposed by University of Nebraska-Lincoln Chancellor Ronnie Green.
Just read that.
We just did that story, so let me find some other news here. A man was flown to a hospital, and a high school jazz band's trip was canceled Thursday morning after a car crashed into a charter bus just east of Lincoln, Lancaster County Sheriff Terry Wagner said. Just after 6:30 a.m., a Chevy Classic driving north on a paved section of 134th Street near Holdridge Street hit the midsection of an eastbound Aero charter bus taking the Lincoln Northeast High School Jazz Band to Kansas City, Wagner said. Some of the people on the bus had barely fallen asleep when the crash jolted the bus, said Northeast senior Zolti Perez. It was basically out of the blue, said Perez, who contacted the Journal-Star about the crash. Investigators believe the car had blown through the stop sign at the intersection and rolled after colliding with the bus, Wagner said. Rescue crews were needed to free the male driver from the car, and a medical helicopter took him away from the scene with non-life-threatening injuries, Wagner said. On the bus, 2 students were hurt. One student was treated at the scene for minor injuries. The other student was taken to the hospital because the crash aggravated a pre-existing knee injury, Wagner said. A second charter bus came and returned the students to school, he said. Several students' instruments were in a compartment beneath the bus's cabin and were destroyed, Wagner and Perez said. Because of the crash, school officials canceled the band's trip to Kansas City, the sheriff said. Northeast High School's varsity and prep jazz bands were headed for the 18th and Vine Jazz Festival at the Gem Theater, Perez said. This was the jazz band's first trip to the festival, she said. Perez, who plays baritone, saxophone, and flute, was looking forward to performing her flute solo during the band's rendition of Spain by jazz pianist Chick Corea. At the festival, the band was going to perform several pieces and work with a jazz clinician as well as eat barbecue at Arthur Bryant's, the 17-year-old said. School officials made counselors and a social worker available to the students when they returned to Northeast, Principal Kurt Glather said in an email to parents. Though the incident rattled several band members and destroyed some of their instruments, we were just kind of glad everyone was okay on the bus, Perez said.
For those cyclists out there, crews are working on a temporary bicycle detour around a bridge construction project that was to have blocked a section of the Wabash Trace Nature Trail in southwest Iowa. A side path just west of the popular trail, north of Malvern, will allow bicyclists to walk their bikes around work on the U.S. Highway 34 bridge, said Rebecca Castle, president of the Southwest Iowa Nature Trails Project, Incorporated. Castle's group is a volunteer nonprofit that manages the trail. From what the Iowa Department of Transportation told her, Castle said, the 4-foot-wide side path, due to be completed in a few days, will have a granular material surface 4 inches thick. The detour will open for 2 months while crews work on the first part of the project, Castle said. The entire project is expected to be finished in 120 to 130 days. The section of the Wabash Trace that runs under the bridge was to have closed during most of the work. That section of the trail will be replaced with a north-south concrete tunnel. Over the tunnel will be a new section of east-west Highway 34. Still to be determined, Castle said, is how bicyclists will negotiate through the construction zone after 60 days when crews begin work on part 2 of the project. We are very pleased with the efforts thus far and want to thank the Department of Transportation and the contractors, she said. We can't stress enough the importance of finding a solution for the second phase of this project, which will encompass the majority of the cycling season, Castle said. The Wabash Trace runs 63 miles from Council Bluffs to the Iowa-Missouri border. The crushed limestone surface trail passes through 8 southwest Iowa towns: Council Bluffs, Mineola, Silver City, Malvern, Imogene, Shenandoah, Coyne, and Blanchard. Malvern is about 22 miles southeast of the Council Bluffs trailhead.
From Omaha, some property owners in downtown Omaha support paying higher special assessments under a proposal to keep the area cleaner. Omaha's Downtown Improvement District collects a special fee from area homeowners for services like picking up trash, providing security, and planting flowers. The district has proposed raising that fee so the group can hire another staff member to care for the 75-block area downtown. The City Council held a public hearing Tuesday on the assessment, which would grow 10% the first year and 3% each year after that for 4 years. To our constituents, it will not feel like a huge burden, but to us, it's going to have a huge impact on how well we can respond to the needs of our community, said Holly Barrett, the district's executive director. The increase would provide about $40,000 in additional revenue each year, Barrett said. Hiring another staff member would mean the district can better collect litter and care for plants, according to the group. The current assessment totals $66 for a residential property valued at $300,000. The property owner of a residence valued at $300,000 would pay an extra $7 with the increase. Michael Henry, owner of multiple commercial and residential properties downtown, said that he's against the proposed increase. He said downtown is still dirty despite the special assessments. Last winter was a pig pen, Henry said. I've never seen the alley so bad. He said the city should be responsible for the group's services through property taxes. The council will make the final decision on whether to move forward with the proposal.
In metro area news briefs, a University of Nebraska administrator in Omaha is in the running for St. Cloud State's University presidency. Dan Shipp, who has dual duty as vice chancellor for student success at the University of Nebraska at Omaha and the University of Nebraska Medical Center, will visit the Minnesota campus late this month. The St. Cloud's Times published the report Thursday. Shipp confirmed by text that he is a finalist. Other finalists are Brian Johnson, who was president of Tuskegee University in Alabama from 2014 to 17, Dion Somerville, vice president for student affairs at Bloomsburg University in Pennsylvania, and Robin Wacker, who has had a variety of administrative roles at the University of Northern Colorado. The North Freeway's southbound lanes from Hamilton Street to Douglas Street will be closed this weekend for continued construction of a pedestrian bridge over the highway. The shutdown will be between the North Freeway Interstate 480 interchange and Birch Street, officials said. The closure will begin 10 p.m. Friday, with the southbound lanes reopening 6 a.m. Monday. The bridge is part of the redevelopment of the former Creighton University Medical Center site for use as apartments and retail businesses. The new bridge will span from the southeast corner of the former medical center campus on the west and align with the existing pedestrian mall on the Creighton campus to the east. And then various nighttime ramp closures are scheduled to begin Sunday night on Interstate 80 at the Nebraska highways 370 and 50 interchanges. The ramp closures will occur from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. for about 3 weeks, the Nebraska Department of Transportation said. The ramp closures are because of pavement repairs.
Lincoln's bike rental program will formally launch Friday with a rolling celebration through downtown. The party starts at 4 p.m. at the Lincoln Community Foundation Gardens with speeches by Bike Link sponsors and supporters. Then it moves as a group bike ride down the N Street Bike Lane and to the rail yard for free pizza from Mellow Mushroom, informational booths, and entertainment. Bike Link bikes started hitting the streets early last week and recorded more than 315 rides during its soft launch. A 30-minute trip costs $3, but monthly and annual passes are also available. For more information, go to bikelink.bicycle.com.
Nebraska State Patrol troopers in the eastern part of the state will be cracking down on drug drivers in a special enforcement operation Friday. The effort, involving troopers from the Omaha and Lincoln offices, is aimed at reducing the potential crashes related to marijuana impairment, the patrol said. Friday's drugged driving crackdown is paid for partly with a $4,200 grant from the Nebraska Department of Transportation's Highway Safety Office. April 20 is referred to as a 420 day by some, with 420 being code for pot in cannabis culture.
In the news at a glance column here, authorities say a woman was fatally wounded in a parking lot at the Walmart just outside Omaha. The shooting occurred at the Irvington store near Interstate 680 and Blair High Road a little before 5 p.m. Wednesday. Police say the woman was involved in a dispute elsewhere in Omaha, and it culminated in the parking lot arrest. No arrests have been reported. Police say the woman was sitting behind the wheel of her sport utility vehicle when she was shot. The SUV rolled forward until it struck a pickup truck. Police say she died after 4 hours at a hospital. She has been identified as 21-year-old Kavion Nelson. From Fremont, authorities say they've captured a Columbus man suspected of robbing a bank in Fremont. Officers were sent to the U.S. Bank branch at 210 East Military Avenue around 3:40 p.m. Wednesday, and soon were looking for a man described as walking with a limp and wearing red clothes. A man matching the description was arrested a short time after the robbery. He was identified as Leonard P. Lovell, age 53. Police say he displayed no weapon during the robbery.
We'll turn now to the obituaries and funeral arrangements in our respective papers. From the Omaha World Herald, Bank, Byron H. Bank, age 83. Memorials may be made to Whitetails Unlimited. John A. Gentleman Mortuaries on 72nd Street is handling the arrangements. Funeral service Friday, today at 11 a.m. at the mortuary. Clemens, Richard Paul Clemens, MD, age 84 and a veteran. Mass of Christian burial Friday, April 20. Well, that one's already going on. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel. Conrad Don DJ Conrad, age 90, and a veteran. Mass of Christian burial Monday at 10 a.m., April 23rd, at the St. Francis Borgia Catholic Church in Blair. Campbell Almond Funeral Home in Blair is handling the arrangements. Dabney, J.R. Dabney, age 66. Celebration of Life, 2:30 p.m. Friday, April 27 at Mockingbird Lanes in Omaha. Memorials may be made to the family for designation at a later date. Brahman Mortuary, Southwest Chapel on South 144th Street. Demitruk, George Joseph Demitruk or Demitruk, Demitruk, age 92 and a veteran. Funeral service Saturday the 21st at 10:30 a.m. at the West Lawn Hillcrest Funeral Home. Memorials to be directed by the family. Finnegan, Terrence Michael Finnegan Sr., age 76 and a veteran. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel is handling the arrangements. Memorials may be directed to the family. Ford, Barbara Jean Howard Ford, age 89. Services Sunday, April 22, 4:30 p.m. at the Dundee Presbyterian Church. Memorials to Dundee Presbyterian Church, Omaha Community Playhouse, PEO, Mona, or Exarban. John A. Gentleman Mortuaries on 72nd Street. Franson, Joyce Ann Jody Franson, age 73. There will be a complete notice later. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel. Gamble, Catherine M. Gamble, age 61. Memorial service Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Carisco Larkin Statsquitz Funeral Home on F Street. Goebel, Richard Sidney Goebel, age 80. Memorial service today at 7 p.m. at the John A. Gentleman Mortuaries on Pacific Street. Memorials to Knights Templar Eye Foundation or the Nebraska Masonic Home in Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Greenwood, Joseph W. Greenwood, age 71, a veteran. Funeral services Monday, 9 a.m. at the Cutler O'Neill Meyer Woodring Bayless Park Chapel in Council Bluffs. There will be military rites by the Canesville Riders Honor Guard. The family will direct memorial contributions. Holdridge, Marcia E. Holdridge, age 67. Funeral service Monday, April 23 at 10:30 a.m. at the Church of the Holy Spirit. Memorials may be given to the family for future designation. Brian P. Harvey Funeral Home in Plattsmouth. Kelly, Aaron N. Kelly, formerly Ann Donahoe, age 62. Service Saturday, April 21 at 10 a.m. at Sacred Heart Catholic Church on Wirt Street. Memorials to NAMI Omaha or the Nebraska Humane Society. There is no funeral home listed. Kemp, Phyllis E. Kemp, age is not available. Services Saturday, April 21st at the Hillcrest Country Estates Chapel on Grand Lodge Avenue in Papillion. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel is handling the arrangements. Leitner, Donald P. Leitner, age 71. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel is handling the arrangements. Matza, Hazel E. Matza, age 98. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to the dementiasociety.org, Brahman Mortuary, 72nd Street Chapel. McChesney, little Ann McChesney, maiden name Widener, age 88. Memorial service April 28 at the Historic Chapel of Forest Lawn. Memorials to the American Diabetes Association. There isn't anything listed as far as a funeral home, but I'm kind of assuming it's going to be Forest Lawn. Nefido, Maria M. Nefido, age 96. Hefe Hoffman DeVort Cutler, West Center Chapel. Nave, Linda Nave, age 64. Celebration of Life is Saturday, April 21 at 11 a.m. at the Bethany Funeral Home at 82nd and Harrison. Neiman, Vivian D. Neiman, age 92. Funeral 10:30 a.m. on, I believe, Monday, April 23rd at the Hillcrest Memorial Park. Memorials to Mount Calvary Lutheran Church, the Food Bank or Alzheimer's Association, Heafy Hoffman DeVork Cutler West Center Chapel. O'Connor, William E. O'Connor Sr., age 89. Mass of Christian Burial Saturday, April 21 at 10:30 at Christ the King Church. Memorials to Project Harmony, Creighton University, Sacred Heart, Q's, Creighton Prep, or charity of your choice. Heafy Hoffman DeVork Cutler, West Center Chapel. Phillips, Mark A. Phillips, age 55. Arrangements are pending. West Lawn Hillcrest Funeral Home on Center Street. Poderus, Walter Wally Poderus, that's Poderys, age 60. Celebration of Life Sunday, April 22 at Florence City Hall on State Street. There is no funeral home listed. Poinsett, Peggy Poinsett, age 67. Peggy is donating her body to UNMC. A private family mass will be said in honor of Peggy. Suggested memorials to the Nebraska Humane Society or Josie Harper Hospice House. There is no funeral home listed. Richt Lynn Udetchik Richt, age 66. Mass of Christian Burial Friday. Now that's just starting here. Memorials are requested to the family, Bethany Funeral Home on 82nd Harrison Street. Saltzman Peter F. Saltzman Jr., nicknamed Pete, age 71, a veteran serving the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam War. The celebration of Pete's life, April 23 at 11:30 a.m. at the Brahmin Mortuary Southwest Chapel on South 144th Street. Shent Mary E. Ellie Shent, age 91. Funeral Mass, 10:30 a.m. Monday, April 23 at St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Fremont. Mosier Memorial Chapel in Fremont's handling the arrangements. Memorials may be given to Archbishop Bergen Grade School in Fremont. Schukert, Deborah Jane Schukert, age 61, maiden name Byerly. Service 12 p.m. Sunday, April 22nd at the 600 Brookstone Metals Plaza in Elkhorn. There is no funeral home listed. Sortino, Lucille P. Lou Sortino, age 80. Mass of Christian Burial Saturday at 10:30 a.m. at St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church. Memorials to Alzheimer's Association, Heafy Hoffman DeVork Cutler, West Center Chapel. Swiger, Patricia M. Swiger, age 83. Memorials to St. Robert Bellarmine or the Nebraska Humane Society, John A. Gentleman Mortuaries on Pacific Street. Varela, Lorenzo P. Varela, age 84. Memorial Mass, 2 p.m. at Sacred Heart Catholic Church. That's on Monday. Raider Mortuary, Ames Chapel. And my final listing is Wood, James Martin Wood, age 83. Memorial service Saturday, April 21 at 2 p.m. at the Brahmin Mortuary. Memorials are suggested to Smile Train, which provides cleft palate repair surgery for children around the world.
And these are obituaries from the Lincoln Journal-Star for Friday, April 20. Guinane, that's Guinane, Joseph Edward Guinane, was 69 and lived in Lincoln, where he died on April 16. Memorials may be directed to the family, the Roper and Sons Funeral Home. Shamanic, Agnes or Bonnie Shamanic, was 96 when she died in Lincoln on April 17. She served as an Army nurse for 5 years during World War II. Burial will be with military honors at Lincoln Memorial Park, the Butheris, Mazer, and Love Funeral Home. Bryant Thomas Mike Lyle Bryant Jr. was 61 and lived in Lincoln, where he died on April 15. Lincoln Alternative Funeral is handling services. Benek, VN, UK, James W. Benek was 57 and lived in Lincoln. He died there on April 13. A memorial service will be held at a later date. Memorials may be given to Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. The Lincoln Alternative Funeral. Olson, Lila Jane Olson, was 76 and lived in Lincoln, where she died on April 17. The Roper and Sons Funeral Home. Memorials to St. Mark's United Methodist Church. Babcock, Marguerite Eloise Babcock, was 93 and lived in Lincoln. She died there April 17. The Roper and Sons Funeral Home is handling services. Memorials may be directed to Eastmont Towers Foundation or First Plymouth Church in Lincoln. Morin, Robert Eldridge Morin, was 92 and lived in Lincoln. He died there April 18. The Roper and Sons Funeral Home. Memorials to Northeast United Church of Christ. Bernice, that's Brenneise, Darrell Bruce Bernice, was 70 when he died in Lincoln on April 12. Samuelson, Stanley E. Samuelson, was 84. He died in Lincoln on April 19. Schroenrock, Francis S. Schroenrock, was 97 and died in Fairbury on April 18. And my final notice is for McGraw. George Galen McGraw was 76 and died in Plattsmouth on April 17.
Listeners' memorials to the Radio Talking Book Network are tax deductible and will go a long way in helping keep Radio Talking Book on the air. Please keep Radio Talking Book in mind when memorials are listed as donor's choice or your favorite charity. Donations should be sent to Radio Talking Book Network, 7101 Newport Avenue, Suite 205, Omaha, Nebraska, 68152. Thank you for being a Radio Talking Book Network listener and supporter. And Ralph and I will be back, right back after a short break with editorials, today's living entertainment, business and markets, and sports.
Thank you, Bob. You are tuned to the Radio Talking Book Network in Omaha, Nebraska.
I'm going to skip that last story here, too. You know what? I could have skipped that last
story
here, too. We're just about 2 minutes over.
Omaha.
I don't have much. I actually have a little business section today.
Oh, good. Okay.
Very little. They don't even call it business. It's just on a page.
Just a page, yeah. Okay.
So, what I got?
Happy Friday.
A couple minutes there.
Today is April 20th, and your Meals on Wheels menu for today is lemon pepper chicken breast, brown rice pilaf, glazed diced beets, multi-grain bread with margarine, pineapples and mandarin oranges, and 1% milk. And if you'd like more information on other services offered for those 60 years and older, please call the Eastern Nebraska Office on Aging at 402-444-6536.
Thank you, Jane. You can hear the senior lunch menus every day, Monday through Friday, right here at this time on Radio Talking Book. All right. Are you guys ready to hear Becca sing? I know I am. So here she comes. 3, 2, 1.
Rising up, back on the street, did my time, took my chances, went the distance, now I'm back on my feet, just a man and his will to survive. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Oh, hi. Sorry, I was just getting ready for the audio described movie, Rocky.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be at Outlook, Nebraska, Saturday, April 21st. It'll start at 7 p.m. and no registration is required, but there are only 24 headsets available, so it will be on a first-come, first-served basis. Sighted companions and family members are welcome to attend. Set Moby pickup for 10 p.m. Outlook, Nebraska is located at 4125 South 72nd Street. And if you need more information, please contact Lisa Kelly at 402-614-3331. You can also visit outlooknebraska.org for a schedule of the 2018 movies. Join us for the thrill of the fight with Rocky on April 21st.
Thank you very much, Becca. Wonderful job. I'm applauding Becca, and I'm also applauding our readers who are coming back to the microphones for hour 2 of the live reading of Lincoln Journal-Star, Omaha World-Herald. Once again, welcome back to Bob Godding and Ralph Morocco.
Thank you, Ryan, and welcome back, listeners. We'll start off the second half with opinion and editorials from our papers and from the Omaha World-Herald, a couple endorsements for the upcoming election. For Douglas County Board, Kavanaugh merits support. The Douglas County Board has wide-ranging powers, and it's vital to have capable members serving on it. The board members set a large overall budget, currently $382 million, covering law enforcement, public health, and tax assessment, among other responsibilities. The board members set the county government's tax rate and make major decisions on facilities such as the county crime lab. James Kavanaugh, the incumbent board member representing District 2 in South Central Omaha, has shown energy and focus in that position. In the May 15 Democratic primary, he deserves support to place him on the fall ballot to face Republican Larry Rowland in the November 6th general election. Kavanaugh, a lawyer, has served on a range of local boards and has been an engaged member of the county board. He helped shape the county's successful $45 million bond issue in 2016 that's paying for a new 911 call center and renovations at the Douglas County Jail. He has often been assertive during meetings, asking probing questions and framing issues usefully. In the May 15 Democratic primary for District 2, the incumbent James Kavanaugh deserves support to compete this fall on the fall general election ballot. For Sarpy County Assessor, Pittman proven professionalism. Sarpy County stands out for its long, impressive growth in terms of population and economic dynamism. Over the past decade, Sarpy County's population grew at a remarkable 14.2%, the state's highest. This vigorous growth creates big opportunities as well as challenges. The Sarpy County Assessor, elected by the people, plays a central role in helping the county move forward as it grows. It's crucial that the assessor's office display a high level of dependability and professionalism. Sarpy residents have been well served on that score by Dan Pittman, the Sarpy County Assessor since 1999. Pittman deserves support in the May 15 Republican primary. His opponent is Bill Kittner, a former state senator who resigned from the legislature in the wake of a cybersex scandal and who was known for his long-winded political speeches rather than focused legislative work. Sarpy County needs a sure-handed professional leadership overseeing its valuation process. Pittman has demonstrated that all-important competence in carrying out the complex duties of this elected position. Voters will be well served by supporting County Assessor Dan Pittman in the May 15 primary.
And this cartoon is on the editorial page of the Journal-Star. It's drawn by John Cole. It shows the Fox News building and what looks like a kind of a brick wall with a microphone at the top and an egg-shaped critter that is labeled Hannity apparently has fallen off and cracked on the cement sidewalk in front. He's holding a little note that reads, "Failure to disclose Cohen connection, the third client." And thinking, his little thought bubble is, okay, now I need a fixer. The letters to the editors include this from Don Tilley of Lincoln, who writes, "I think a think tank recently stated the two greatest dangers to the world are climate change and nuclear weapons. Nebraska is still a prime target for a nuclear weapons attack because STRATCOM directs nuclear traffic and development. People say it could never happen here because it has not happened. When I visited Oklahoma City after the fertilizer bomb exploded outside the federal building, people were still denying they could be bombed. Lincoln quickly built a low wall around its federal building. Representative Jeff Fortenberry needs help. He cares, but he thinks most people in our congressional district aren't that concerned about nuclear bombs. It's old hat. If they don't care, why should he? Representative Fortenberry is head of the Nuclear Security Task Force, consisting of 20 members of Congress. He states in a letter, the nuclear problem is real. We need an awakening of the citizen concern, and there is very little. How can he rally the task force when Nebraskans are silent and in denial? No support. Where is the anger, the passion to rid us of nuclear weapons? The atomic clock is ticking closer to doomsday. Representative Fortenberry recently appointed a man to deal with nuclear weapons, but that hire says no plan is being developed by any group in Washington to remove nuclear weapons. That's sad. People don't seem to be concerned. Representative Fortenberry can lead the way, but he needs our help. Gladys Stevens of Milford writes, a man was recently found guilty of helping his girlfriend commit suicide. But if his girlfriend were pregnant and he helped her get an abortion and he paid for the abortion, would that be okay? To my way of thinking, that would be murder. It's amazing what society deems to be acceptable today.
From the Omaha Public Pulse, a letter from Kira Gale of Omaha. There's a solution to the problem of businesses not wanting to invest in downtown Omaha because of parking. It's used extensively in big cities, and it's called Park and Ride. Our city and adjacent towns cover a lot of territory. Imagine the convenience of having park and ride centers scattered around the area, serviced by modern buses equipped with Wi-Fi. The centers would be clean, well-lit, and staffed. People could leave their cars at the parking lot, or someone could drive them to the park and ride and pick them up. It would be a unique modern feature for Omaha. It would also make it possible for some families to save on the expense of having a second or third car. Instead of fighting traffic, people could be enjoying their travel time. Robert Nunez Jr. of Omaha writes, when President Donald Trump proclaimed to drain the swamp, he didn't say he was going to make another swamp. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt has spent taxpayer money on new security doors, flying first class, a large security force, a private phone booth. What am I missing? Believe it or not, he has asked for lights and sirens when he travels by car, so he doesn't have to wait for traffic. I have one more question. When our president said, make America great again for who? Richard Winthrop of Harlan, Iowa writes, the April 8 issue of the Omaha World Herald provides a vivid example of the conceptual confusion that pervades the issue of healthcare costs. The editorial on the opinion page, A Mixed Diagnosis, celebrated growth in the number of types of healthcare professionals working in Nebraska. The editorial goes on to bemoan professional staff shortages, particularly in rural areas. Professional staff must be paid, and so the increase means a rise in the cost of care. The shortage, if remedied, would cause a further rise. On the other hand, the lead article in the Money and Jobs section positively reports the success of accountable care organizations in working to push healthcare costs down. Pushing health costs down requires using fewer healthcare professionals by some means, such as increasing productivity or reducing the amount of service needed. These evaluations are inconsistent. Nebraska as a whole should either have more healthcare professionals or fewer. Denise Bradshaw of Omaha writes, I attended the Westside Board of Education Candidate Forum and left understanding why the majority of community ignores these events. The pablum-fueled questions were nothing less than embarrassing, with the possible exceptions of the answers. No respect was provided to the homeowners who have lived in the district for decades. We own our homes. We observe the kids going to school. We are the watch captains. We provide the anchor, the stability the schools depend upon. We are rewarded with higher taxes, poor grades, and an increasing number of kids who cannot find or maintain substantive employment, much less becoming the next generation of neighborhood anchors. These key comments reveal how out of step these candidates are. Everyone needs to be met. I'm not sure how that is possible since the taxpayers are never mentioned. Teachers are the most important group. Those of us who pay for everything are actually the most important group. Financial stewardship is the key. This was mentioned in relation to getting increased funding from the state. Why should I stay in my home when I can move a few blocks over and save thousands of dollars in taxes? Why not move to an apartment and really not worry about any school district? Homeowners don't need the board needs us, and board members need to start understanding that and respecting what we do. And Kathy Ward, of Lincoln, volunteer of American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, writes, "No one wants to hear the words, 'you have cancer.' If that day comes, having access to affordable, adequate health coverage may be the difference between life and death. American Cancer Society research shows that individuals who do not have health insurance are more likely to be diagnosed with cancer at a later stage, when it's costlier to treat and more difficult to survive. When the healthcare law was enacted, it established patient protections in health coverage plans to ensure that individuals with a health history or those who may be diagnosed in the future don't lose coverage because of their illness. But those protections are now threatened by a proposed rule from the Health and Human Services Secretary, Alex Azar. The proposal would allow short-term plans to be offered on a more long-term basis. These plans skirt the critical patient protections other health plans must cover. Not only does this mean more plans could once again deny people coverage based on their health history, but also could divide the marketplace, and that instability could drive up premiums of more comprehensive plans to affordable levels. U.S. Senators Ben Sasse and Deb Fischer of Nebraska need to stand up for these critical patient protections and help ensure that cancer patients, survivors, and all at risk of developing the disease have access to health coverage we need. Please urge Azar to stop this flawed regulation from moving forward to ensure patients don't lose access to affordable, meaningful coverage."
This is Leonard Pitt's column appearing in the Journal Star. I don't drink coffee, so I can't boycott Starbucks, but I wouldn't if I could. Yes, I understand and share the national anger over viral video of last week's arrest of two African-American men at one of the company's Philadelphia stores. The men, who have yet to be identified, were reportedly doing nothing more threatening than waiting quietly to be joined by a man they were meeting there, having asked to use the restroom and been refused. Their waiting apparently scared the manager, who called police. Cell phone video of the incident shows a white guy asking if the men are being arrested because they are black guys sitting there. An officer, attempting facetiousness, says yes. But his facetiousness is misplaced because obviously that's exactly why they were arrested. On the video, the white customers are upset, but the men accept it placidly, as befits veterans of the exhausting job of being while black. Now Starbucks faces a public relations nightmare as its people swear off its lattes and macchiatos. Protesters have appeared at the Philadelphia store. Starbucks coffee is anti-black, they chanted. Shame on Starbucks, one sign declared. But Starbucks isn't the point. To pretend it is a comforting fiction. It allows the company to apologize, vow to do better, and move on. It allows protesters to feel righteous for proving they will not tolerate intolerance. Meantime, we know as a statistical matter of fact that somewhere a little boy was just suspended from school for a minor infraction because he is black. A desperately ill woman was just denied sufficient medication to ease her pain because she is black. A highly qualified applicant was just passed over for the job of her dreams because she is black. And sometime soon, another unarmed man will be shot by police because he is black. Most of it won't make the news. If it does, we will treat it as we are now treating Starbucks, as an individual, albeit outrageous story requiring good people to rise and protest. But you see, these are not individual stories. No, it's all the same. The circumstances change, yes, but the story never does, nor does the moral thereof. America is a nation still inflicted with the same idiocy that has bedeviled us since before Thomas Jefferson wrote those noble words he didn't believe about all men being created equal. Now, as then, some of us think you can judge a person's intentions and worth from the color of his skin. So it's useless to single out Starbucks for opprobrium. Granted, it may come out that it, like Denny's and Cracker Barrel before it, has a corporate culture of denigrating Black customers, in which case the company deserves all the opprobrium we can muster. But absent that development, which happened in Starbucks, isn't really about Starbucks. Nor are police shootings of unarmed Black men really about police, or the denial of palliative care to sick Black people really about doctors. No, it's the same story. And the story is all about us, about we the people and the truths we claim to hold self-evident, but don't. Last week, the story unfolded at Starbucks. It could just as easily have been Red Lobster or McDonald's. It still could. So to make this about Starbucks is to let the real culprit off the hook.
We'll turn now to living and entertainment. And well, for those people like me that are gardeners, you have the green light to plant this weekend. After Saturday, daytime temperatures will be in the upper 50s or above, with night temperatures not expected to be lower than 40 for the rest of the week. All the cold season stuff we can have in all clear, said John Porter, the Urban Agricultural Program Coordinator for the Nebraska Extension for Douglas-Sarpy counties. Cold season crops include vegetables such as kale, cabbage, spinach, lettuce, carrots, broccoli, and radishes. Porter said that includes both plants and seeds. Warm season items such as tomatoes and peppers should be okay to plant in mid-May as usual. I think spring might actually sprung on Sunday, Porter said. Traditional planting dates, mid to late April, beets, Swiss chard, late April to early May, sweet corn, and then after May 10, snap and pole beans, lima beans, cucumbers, eggplant, muskmelons, pepper transplants, pumpkin squash, tomatoes, and watermelon.
And we'll now turn to some of the lighter columns in each of our papers. This is Ask Amy from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Dear Amy, I'm a 42-year-old man who's been married to my wife for 14 years. We started out fairly well, but over the years, more and more arguments emerged. Now we have 3 young kids and have devolved into the odd couple. She's a downright slob, really bad even by her own admission, and I'm more of a normal clean type. I can't keep cleaning the house all by myself, and it gets so disgusting that I'm embarrassed by it. We do have some great times, but I just feel like I love her as a friend and can't stand living with her. I'm somewhat into staying fit, and I work out to maintain a good look and heart health. She does not. She can't keep up with me, even on a short hike. I fear that she'll die way before me, or eventually become too heavy for me to find attractive. The other day, our oldest, a 6-year-old girl, told the story of our meeting and marriage at an extended family dinner. She concluded, then they found out that they didn't like each other. The end. I know that if I announced divorce, it would be devastating to her. She still loves me very much. I feel that if I stay, I won't be happy, and it's not healthy for the kids to hear us arguing. But I also feel that a broken home could be equally devastating. Signed, stay or go, ? Dear stay or go, staying in or leaving a marriage is not really a binary choice, certainly when you have young children. You say that you can't keep cleaning the house all by yourself. Why not? It sounds as if you're probably much better at it than your wife is. You care more about it than she does. You have 3 children under the age of 6. If she agrees to handle the majority of the daily child care and manages to get meals on the table, can you be in charge of cleaning? Can you hire someone to clean for a few hours a week to lighten the load for everyone? If you can financially afford to leave your marriage, then you can also afford to pay for some of the help you need right now. Some of what you two are dealing with is what most couples in the shank of their marriage and parenting have to cope with. That feeling that life is passing by in a blur. while spouses become detached from the relationship and, in a way, from their own lives. Yes, arguing in front of your children is not good for your household, but you too can learn how to communicate differently. Therapy is ideal for getting unstuck from entrenched thought patterns. You should commit to trying to change things at home before you decide to simply pack it in. Dear Amy, I have been divorced for 9 years, and my ex-wife has been married for the last 8 years. We have a 15-year-old daughter and 13-year-old triplets. I have never missed a visitation, activity, or doctor's visit. My oldest and I had an argument, and she decided she did not want to see me. 2 of the triplets then decided they did not want to visit either. My third girl comes all the time. I'm now fighting legally to get them to adhere to visitation. The mother does not want me in the picture. She was always planning things to do when it's my time with the girls. They have never missed an activity or party when they are with me. Some people say to just let them go. I love them and think I'm a good influence on them. I also do not want them to say, "Why did you give up on us?" Signed, Lost Dad. Dear Lost, one way that angry exes have of alienating children from a parent is to constantly interfere by planning things during the parent's visitation. It is unconscionable, destructive, and ultimately hurts the children. I agree that you should continue to fight for access to your children. Dear Amy, lately you've been presented with many dilemmas where people wonder if they should disclose various family secrets. Thank you for always urging people to find a way to tell the truth. My family is full of secrecy and not quite buried incidents and scandal. It is toxic. Signed, Sad with Secrets. Dear Sad, secrets seem to grow more powerful over time. Disclosure saps this power.
A magician never reveals his secrets. Well, not unless a court mandates it. David Copperfield, 61, is currently in the middle of a civil jury trial in Las Vegas, Clark County District Court, that begun last Friday following a negligence lawsuit filed against the illusionist by 58-year-old British chef Gavin Cox. Cox attended one of Copperfield's shows at the MGM Grand, Las Vegas on November 12, 2013. The show concluded with one of the magician's signature tricks, Lucky Number 13. Copperfield chose 13 random audience members to participate in the illusion. Cox was one of the 13, but things quickly went downhill, and Cox claimed that he emerged from the trick injured. The trick, which Copperfield has performed for at least a decade, is a simple vanishing act. He brings 13 unwitting participants on a platform on stage. Then giant curtains are flung over it, completely obscuring the baker's dozen audience members. Copperfield banters for a few minutes before pulling the curtains and revealing the 13 have disappeared. But the big reveal comes when Copperfield points to the back of the room and tells the audience to turn around. Standing there are the missing participants. Of course, the participants aren't magically transported from one place to another. Cox claimed in his lawsuit that he was injured during the trick, which would force its mechanics to be exposed in the courtroom. Copperfield's lawyers argued that disclosing how the trick works to the public would financially hurt Copperfield, who is worth about $800 million, according to Forbes. It's not just tricks, Copperfield said in 2013. Secrets and a lot of hard work go into this. The judge disagreed, pointing out that the thousands of people who have already participated in the illusion know how it works. Chris Kenner, the show's executive producer, explained the trick in court on Tuesday. After the curtains obscure the participants, flashlight-carrying stagehands guide them off the stage and through dark, hidden passageways that wind around various parts of the resort. At one point, the participants exit and then re-enter the building. Eventually, they re-enter the theater through the back. Cox said the passageways were filled with dust and debris as they snaked through parts of the resort that were under construction. He fell during the dash and was taken to the hospital with a dislocated shoulder.
And this is John Roseman's parenting column from the Journal Star. Question: Our son, age 8, did fine in school in first grade, but has struggled in second. We've taken your advice and not helped him much with his homework other than occasional and brief consultations. He's making average grades, but his second grade teacher, she's fairly young by the way, tells us that he's actually slightly behind in both reading and math. We met recently with the school counselor, school psychologist, and his teacher, all of whom recommended that he be tested for ADHD. They told us he's easily distracted and a learning disability. We really don't want to go down that road, but they're making it seem like that's the only responsible thing for us to do. What are your thoughts on this? Rosemond writes, I agree. You really don't want to go down that road. In the first place, the fact that an 8-year-old boy is struggling in school and slightly behind in reading and math, yet making decent grades, does not, in my estimation, indicate a serious problem. The bell-shaped curve, which schools seem to have forgotten or conveniently ignore, predicts that some otherwise normal, problem-free children will perform below the academic mean. Private schools try to weed out children who will bring down their test scores. Public schools cannot. So in public school, one is likely to find a greater proportion of kids who struggle. Furthermore, a disproportionate number of the kids in question are likely to be boys, and boys tend to be distractible. As I have said many, many times in this column, books, and in my weekly radio show, there is no scientific validity to a diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Unlike a verifiable physical disease like cirrhosis, ADHD is a construct, not a verifiable reality. On numerous occasions over the past 30 years, I have publicly challenged my colleagues in the mental health profession to provide concrete proof of heritability, a biochemical imbalance, or a consistent brain difference, all of which they frequently claim concerning ADHD. I have yet to hear a lucid response. As for determining whether a child has ADHD by giving tests, it is fascinating to note that the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the Diagnostic Bible of the mental health professions, lists not one test-based criteria for making the diagnosis. The question then becomes, since tests do not figure into the diagnosis, why then are they often administered? The only answer I can come up with is that tests are given to create the impression that the diagnosis is arrived at vis-a-vis a scientific process, when it is not. When I make that charge, psychologists tell me that the tests are not given to obtain a diagnosis, but rather a big picture of the child. The question then becomes, if the expensive tests in question are not necessary to the diagnosis, why do so many parents obtain the impression that they are? Then there's the fact that public schools receive supplementary funding for every child diagnosed with ADHD and put on a so-called individualized education program, or IEP. So do certain private schools, by the way. Call me cynical, but when money is a possible incentive to making a certain diagnosis, I am suspect. Two things jump out at me. First, that your son didn't have problems in grade 1. Second, that the second grade teacher is inexperienced. It may be well that your son's struggles say more about her than they do him. I would be more inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt and simply recommend that you hire a tutor, ideally an older veteran teacher, to work with him during the summer and bring him up to academic speed before he goes back to school in the fall.
From Heloise Household Hints, dear Heloise, this problem recently has become more common than in the past. So it's worth letting people know that when they buy a computer, they probably should stick to well-known distributors and brand names they can trust. Why? Some countries have begun to ship computers with pirated software, which may be infected with malware. Don't be afraid to ask where your computer was made when making a purchase. Find out the store's or company's return policy. Signed, Harrison Y. in Los Angeles. Dear Heloise, if you want telephone scammers to leave you alone, here's a good trick that works. If you have a messaging service on your phone, leave a message that says, hello, I am monitoring all my messages. Please leave your name and number and the purpose of your call. Scammers hang up because the last thing they want is a recording of their voice. Janet S. Haverville of Massachusetts. Dear Heloise, recently I have had an urge to travel, and you might think a 25-year-old woman in this day and age wouldn't be afraid to travel alone. Unfortunately, I am. I want to see Italy, but traveling by myself is so scary to me. How can I overcome this fear? Signed, Sarah T. of Odessa, Texas. Heloise responds, Sarah, if you've never been out of the country before, start by booking a group tour. A travel agent can help you with arrangements. You could ask a friend to go with you or make friends on the tour and perhaps go sightseeing with them. Let family and friends know your itinerary and when you expect to be back home. Make sure your passport and driver's license are up to date. Then enjoy the trip. Dear Heloise, please advise your readers to stop peeling or picking their nails. It dents or damages them. Moisturize both the nails and the cuticles with a rich lotion to prevent cracking and drying out of the nails. Wear gloves whenever you are cleaning the house and using chemicals. Signed, a manicurist, Hilton Head, South Carolina. Dear Heloise, my son is only 6 years old and he tends to be shy. We were out shopping the other day when he said he needed to use the restroom. He carefully approached the sales clerk and politely asked, can you tell me where the restroom is? I need to rest. Signed, a reader via email. And finally, dear Heloise, after I bring the mail or package into the house and open them, I wash my hands. Many people's dirty hands have touched the mail and packages before I open them. Signed, Mary H. of Arlington, Virginia.
And we'll turn to the business pages in each of our papers. Yesterday was another down day. Stocks tumbled on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials were off 83.18, down about a third of a point at 24,664.89. NASDAQ was off 57.18, or almost 0.8 of a point at 7,238.06. And the S&P 500 was down 15.51 at 2,693.13, a drop of 0.6% for the day. Oil for May delivery was off 18 cents, but settled at $68.29. So higher gasoline prices are certainly ahead. From Washington, long-term U.S. mortgage rates climbed upward this week, slightly worsening affordability for home buyers. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac said Thursday that the average rate on 30-year fixed-rate mortgages rose to 4.47% from 4.42% last week. This benchmark rate averaged 3.97% a year ago. The average rate on a 15-year fixed rate loan rose this week as well. An unusually virulent strain of E. coli bacteria on romaine lettuce has sent 31 people to hospitals in 16 states, and health officials are urging consumers to throw out any of the lettuce they may have bought recently. No grower or distributor has been identified as the source of the outbreak, which has been traced to the Yuma, Arizona area, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The health agency this week added 18 more victims, including 9 with serious kidney failure from 5 states of its E. coli 157H7 that started in late March. None of the cases so far have been in Nebraska. The CDC advises that consumers anywhere in the United States who have bought store-bought chopped romaine lettuce at home should not eat it and should throw it away. Before purchasing romaine lettuce at a grocery store or eating it at a restaurant, confirm with the store or restaurant that it is not from the Yuma, Arizona growing region.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe courted the new American president with a golden driver not long after Donald Trump won the White House. He's met with the billionaire businessman more than any other world leader, and he is Trump's second most frequent caller. Yet the bromance between Trump and Abe has its limits. Trump appeared to be successful Tuesday in reassuring Abe that he would take Japan's concerns to heart during his upcoming meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. But Wednesday brought public disagreements as Trump spurned his guest's top economic and trade priorities. Principal among them, allowing Japan an exemption from new U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs and persuading Trump to rejoin the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. During a roughly 40-minute joint news conference Wednesday evening, Abe tried to put on a good face, emphasizing their close relationship and areas of accord on North Korea policy. But when pressed on the economic disagreements, Abe repeatedly consulted notes as he tried to sidestep questions on the contentious issues, instead returning to Trump's favorite call for developing a reciprocal trade relationship with the U.S. It marked a stark departure from Abe's pre-summit hopes of coaxing the U.S. back into the TPP, and Japan remains the only major U.S. ally not to be exempted from the tariffs announced last month. World leaders have quickly learned that flattery is an easy way into Trump's graces, and throughout the two-day summit, Abe appeared keen to praise the president at every opportunity. But their session on trade and economic issues quickly turned tense and tough, according to two U.S. officials, as the leaders found themselves at an impasse on the tariffs, and Trump refused to budge on the TPP. Still, several officials said publicly the personal connection between the leaders is robust enough to withstand the tensions. And in a related article on the tariffs, Russia on Thursday joined the European Union, India, and China in appealing through the World Trade Organization to demand compensation from the United States for its tariffs on foreign steel and aluminum. The WTO published a filing from Russia that, like other countries, argues that the U.S. tariffs that took effect March 23 amount to a safeguard aimed at protecting U.S. domestic producers from surging imports. The Trump administration has rejected those arguments and says the measures are for national security reasons. In a move that could presage what the U.S. response to Russia will be, the WTO says the United States told India and the EU Wednesday that it was open to consultations on their similar complaints, but not if they are about safeguards.
A masked Joel Embiid scored 23 points in his postseason debut. Marco Bellinelli and Dario Saric each added 21, and the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Miami Heat 128-108 on Thursday night to take a 2-1 lead in their Eastern Conference first-round series in Miami. Ben Simmons finished with 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists for the 76ers, who won for the 18th time in their last 19 games and reclaimed home court advantage. Embiid went on a personal 7-0 run in the fourth quarter to help Philadelphia extend its lead to 14 and send many in the crowd to the exits. Goran Dragic scored 23 points for Miami and got 19 from Justice Winslow and 14 from Josh Richardson. Game 4 is Saturday afternoon. Embiid was announced as doubtful to start the day when he was upgraded to probable in the afternoon and eventually cleared to start. He wore a mask and goggles to protect the surgically repaired orbital bone around his left eye, though his new accessory didn't exactly seem up to the rigors of playoff basketball, needing to be swapped out at least twice. There were 31 fouls and 4 technicals called in the first half, an opening 24 minutes where Wade and Justin Anderson got feisty. Winslow stepped on Embiid's broken off goggles, and the team took 45 free throws. In other NBA action, Nikola Mirotic scored a career playoff best 30 points to go with 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block. And New Orleans beat Portland in New Orleans to take a commanding 3-0 lead in their first round playoff series. Anthony Davis had 28 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks for New Orleans, which can advance past the first round of the playoffs for the first time since 2008. with one more victory. The 6'10" Miratech, acquired in a midseason trade after DeMarcus Cousins' season-ending Achilles tear, made 12 of 15 shots, scoring on everything from quick-release three-pointers to cutting dunks and fast-break layups. Damian Lillard scored 20 points for Portland.
In Nebraska football notes, Wednesday was the 22nd anniversary of former Nebraska quarterback Brooke Behringer's death in a plane crash, which occurred several months after Behringer's career had ended for the Huskers. It was also 4 months before Scott Frost started his first game as NU's quarterback. The two were teammates during the 1995 season. Frost sat out the year as part of his transfer from Stanford. Behringer backed up the nation's top quarterback, Tommy Frazier. Asked to recall Behringer on Thursday, Frost said he felt a kinship with the player whose statue stands outside North Stadium. Like Behringer, Frost grew up in small towns. Like Behringer, Frost liked hunting, fishing, country music, and football. And when Frost transferred to Nebraska in 1995, Brooke was one of the guys who took me under his wing and helped me out a lot. When we got the news of Behringer's death, you almost didn't believe it, Frost said. It took a while for it to set in. It didn't set in for me until the spring game. NU played its spring game April 20th, 1996, 2 days after Behringer's death. A then spring game record crowd of 48,659 watched as Nebraska played a tribute video. That's when it hit Frost hard. It really sunk in for me, Frost said. He was a good friend. I cared about him a lot, and I know a lot of people did. He had as big a heart as anyone I've ever been around. We'll always remember him. I wish he was still here. Nearly 2 years ago, another Nebraska player, punter Sam Foltz, was killed in a car crash. Frost said he was in western Nebraska with current inside linebackers coach Barrett Ruud and football administrator Matt Davidson when Foltz's death was reported. Those things are heart-wrenching when someone loses their life before their time, Frost said. It's hard to swallow, but those guys did a lot more in their lives in a short amount of time than most people. The quarterback assignments for Nebraska's spring game are set. Tristan Gebbia and Adrian Martinez on the red team, and Andrew Bunch and Noah Vidro on the white team. Quarterbacks coach Mario Verduzco was firm Thursday. Don't read anything into which quarterback takes snap first. Everyone will play. I seriously just want to make certain their feet and their eyeballs are in the right place, Verduzco said. If receivers are open, hey, let's get our ball placement where it needs to be. If receivers are closed, hey, let's burn or burst and let's make good decisions. And there's going to be all that situational offense that comes up in terms of third and long, third and short, how they're going to operate in the red zone and tight red zone. The four quarterbacks were split up without any rhyme or reason. Offensive coordinator Troy Walters said Thursday, they're all going to get reps. They're all going to get evaluated. And so we have to have two on each. So that's what we did. The quarterbacks will not be live, so they can't be tackled in the scrimmage. Okay, but that doesn't mean there won't be a full evaluation afterward. Chinander hopes to see picks. The defensive coordinator wants more consistency from his cornerbacks, but he wants them to make more interceptions. We're covering some people. We're running side by side with them. We're not getting the football, Chinander said. We need the football. We'd like to see the guys make some big plays in front of the big crowd. NU corners didn't have an interception last season. Chinander said their ball skills, tracking passes and catching the ball are fine. Their mentality just needs work. It's no fear of failure, desire to excel, or get the football, Chinander said. If you whiff, let the safety make the tackle and let's move on. But I need the football. Nebraska has been blaring music in practice to simulate difficult conditions in which to communicate. Sometimes the defensive backs speak and sometimes they use signals. Defensive back coach Travis Fisher said he imagines it will be pretty hard for the Huskers to hear one another during Saturday's sold-out spring game. The juices flow a little bit more when you get in front of that crowd, Fisher said, so I'm looking forward to seeing some juices flowing. We've got some guys I really want to see in front of that crowd and let it go. Communication leading to sound assignment football is what Fisher will be watching for Saturday. He hopes the players won't deviate much from what he has seen through a dozen spring practices, but knows certain players have a tendency of rising to the occasion on game day. Everyone has more to give, he said. There is no depth chart for tight ends yet. That will change this weekend after position coach Sean Beckton has a chance to see them perform in live action before a crowd of 90,000. Huge evaluation piece, Beckton said of the spring game. Perhaps more than any other position, battles like quarterbacks, the Saturday scrimmage will go a long way in determining a pecking order entering the fall. There will be details for the coach to chart, like who steps with the correct foot and understands landmarks in the passing game, most of all, who plays with the most grit and toughness. There's still competition going on there, Beckton said. Everybody's going to get equal reps, and we want to see what everyone's going to end up doing. Sometimes kids are good at practice, but when the lights turn on, those guys become gamers. I just want to see those guys go out and compete on Saturday and play with a lot of passion and detail. Running backs coach Ryan Held is fired up and ready to call some plays again. With Frost smelling the roses on the sideline Saturday, he is handing over play calling duties to Walters and Held, and the running backs coach is ready to get back to his roots. I won't be the loony bird on the sideline, but I was a head coach for 12 years, Held said. Kind of brings back memories a bit. Held said one of his main goals will also be to get the guys to realize that this is real game with real television cameras and real evaluations. In quick hits, outside linebackers coach Javon DeWitt said his players may be switching jerseys during the game in order to bank reps. There are no clear leaders at outside linebacker headed into the spring game. Walters says he likes receiver Mike Williams, a junior college transfer, because he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Reporters for USA Today and CBS Sports were in town for Thursday's practice last week. Sports Illustrated and The Athletic visited practice. Inside linebackers coach Barrett Root said that the general excitement about Nebraska's football has reached height not felt since coach Tom Osborne retired following the 1997 season. Root said the toughness at his position group is not there yet, but it isn't for lack of effort. Rather, he added that trait is still a skill that needs to continue to be developed through good habits.
And in Major League Baseball action, the Astros beat the Mariners 9-2. Charlie Morton pitched 7 innings of 3-hit ball. Jose Altuve hit a 3-run double, and Houston won in Seattle. Morton, now 3-0, retired 15 straight at one stretch and didn't allow a runner to reach second base. The Astros won despite hitting into a bizarre triple play in the 4th inning. With runners at first and second and no outs, Evan Gattis hit a check swing ground ball to third base. Kyle Seager stepped on third and threw to second base to force Carlos Correa. Gattis finished running to first, but turned to jog across the infield to the Astros dugout. Seager noticed what was happening, and Robinson Cano threw to Daniel Vogelbach, who applied the tag. Philadelphia beat the Pirates 7-0. Jake Arrieta flashed the all-star form that made Philadelphia covet the free agent ace, striking out 10 and tossing 1-hit ball over 7 innings to defeat visiting Pittsburgh. Rhys Hoskins homered, and Cesar Hernandez had a 3-run single to pace the Phillies. Arrieta, now 2-0, had his 14th career double-digit strikeout game and walked 2. The Cubs beat the Cardinals 8-5. John Lester, now 2-0, was dominant through 6 innings of 2-hit ball in his 100th start as Cub. And Jason Hayward hit a 2-run homer to beat St. Louis in Chicago. Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber each had 2 RBIs as Chicago took a 6-1 lead after 2 innings. 10 of Chicago's first 16 batters reached against Luke Weaver, now 2-1. It was the Tigers defeating the Orioles 13-8. Lenny's Martin hit his first big league grand slam, and Jermer Candelario had 4 hits and 3 RBIs as Detroit completed a 3-game sweep at home and extended Baltimore's losing streak to 6. It was the Yankees edging the Blue Jays 4-3. Aaron Judge hit the 5th home run. David Robertson pitched out of an 8th-inning jam, and New York overcame some shaky defense on a chilly night to be visiting Toronto. CC Sabathia allowed 2 unearned runs over 4 1/3 innings and 71 pitches in his first start since straining his right hip on April 6. And it was the Braves defeating the Mets 12-4. Preston Tucker drove in a career-high 5 runs. Matt Wisler allowed 2 hits in 7 innings after being called up from the minors to lead host Atlanta past Matt Harvey in New York. Wisler, now 1-0, recalled from AAA Gwinnett for what appeared to be a full fill-in start, allowed 1 run on 2 hits with no walks.
In sports briefs from Austin, Texas, Lance Armstrong has reached a $5 million settlement with the federal government in a whistleblower lawsuit that could have sought $100 million in damages from the cyclist who was stripped of his record 7 Tour de France victories after admitting that he used performance-enhancing drugs during much of his career. The deal announced Thursday came as the 2 sides prepared for a trial that was scheduled to start May 7 in Washington. Armstrong's former U.S. Postal Service teammate, Floyd Landis, filed the original lawsuit in 2010 and is eligible for up to 25% of the settlement, along with the attorney fees paid by Armstrong. Seeking millions it spent sponsoring Armstrong's powerhouse teams, the government joined the lawsuit against Armstrong in 2013 when his televised confession to Oprah Winfrey to use steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs and methods. Armstrong had already retired, but the confession shattered the legacy of one of the world's most polarizing sports figures. In a statement to the Associated Press, Armstrong said he's happy to have made peace with the Postal Service. While I believe that the lawsuit against me was meritless and unfair, and while I am spending a lot of money to resolve it, I have since 2013 tried to take full responsibility for my mistakes and inappropriate conduct and make amends wherever possible, he said. I rode my heart out for the Postal cycling team, and I was always especially proud to wear the red, white, and blue eagle on my chest when competing in the Tour de France. Those memories are very real and meaning a lot to me. The settlement clears the 46-year-old Armstrong of the most damaging legal issues still facing him since his downfall. He had already taken huge hits financially, losing all his major sponsors and forced to pay more than $20 million in damages and settlements in a series of lawsuits. The government's lawsuit would have been the biggest by far. In track and field, Nebraska redshirt freshman Zach Podraza won the decathlon at the Kansas Relays, finishing in the top 3 in 4 of the 5 events Thursday. After beginning the day in second place, Podraza took second in the 110-meter hurdles with a time of 15:48, second in the discus with a throw of 117 feet 11 inches, and third in the pole vault at 14 feet 1 1/4 inches. He then won the javelin with a 185.9 to take the lead with 1 event remaining. Podraza finished 6th in the 1500 with a personal best time of 5:02.21 to clinch the title with 6,753 points.
Last season, the Nebraska baseball team swept Rutgers late in the season as it charged to its first conference title in 12 years. This weekend, the Huskers head to Piscataway, hoping to give themselves a chance just to get into the Big Ten tournament. The team started a 3-game series Friday in New Jersey. First pitch for the series opener is set for 1 p.m. today. Rutgers Baton Field isn't a glamorous place, some aluminum bleachers and no real press box to speak of. And Nebraska's season right now isn't a glamorous one. 2-7 over the past 9 games, with 2 games postponed and 2 more canceled because of weather. But if the Huskers are to make any sort of climb in the Big Ten standings, the work needs to start at one of the conference's most humble venues. Nebraska, now 16-19, 3-7 in the Big Ten, currently resides in 11th place in the Big Ten, ahead of only Northwestern and Penn State, who each have 1 conference win. It is top of the hour, so time for us to make way for other programming on the Radio Talking Book Network. I'm Ralph Morocco. It's been my pleasure to be with you.
And this is Bob Gotting. It has been a pleasure reading for you today, and it looks like spring may actually be here, so enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Ralph Morocco and Bob Gotting.
Did you see that note from Shane?
Yeah.
Jeez,
just what we need.
Today.
Well, we're done.
Yeah, I figured we'd try and maybe get out a second or two early, just to make sure we don't broadcast the fire.
Go finish packing and
Well, safe travels.
Yeah,
That
thanks.
should be fun.
Yeah, it should be at
And now please stay tuned,
Gatlinburg,
folks, for an hour
Tennessee.
of
It's gonna
community
be our
conversations
central
with Jay
point of
Nielsen coming up next.
where we're gonna
Branch out.
branch out from.
Okay.
We're looking at all the things we can do if it's raining. We got all our gear, all our rain gear, so we'll hike in the rain. But it's gotta be a trail that's not gonna get slippery.
They have a bunch of.
There are a couple.
Got a couple of famous.
Yeah, they're not too far from Hammond Cape.
All right.
All right.
Travel safely.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Have a good board meeting.
Yes. Hi, how you guys doing? Good.
Bye. In 2 weeks. Good. It was really good. Brian played it up. Yeah. All right.
sweet spot is 12-17. I'll turn the monitor speaker on. Conversation in the broadcast booth so you can hear it. You'll know, and you'll hear me go on, of course, too, to introduce you.
Well, if you are, I need to know, because we do have a third mic, but I need to let Ryan know to activate it.
You don't have to.
Okay.
I will sit here.
All right.
You can sit there.
He has this turned on so we can hear him. And
What you put in there with it. That's right. Will there be childcare available for folks that day?
oh, this is for a conference that's coming up.
If you captured it, if you can find someone.
One of our board members, church is putting on a women's
That's
conference
good question.
a week from Saturday.
Something for us to think about how to do
It's
that. So we can
called-
look into that.
Okay.
But definitely come. That's the whole purpose to come.
So if they don't have childcare for their kids, you want
It's something about strengthening your faith or
Yeah, there you go.
something like that. Anyway, they're anticipating about 100 women.
For sure.
They asked me to come and make a
Can you tell me little bit about
presentation,
the
so I am.
topics that
And so
your
then we also
speakers
had
will be
these gals
covering?
in last week to do a short.
Just ask that they pray
Uh-huh.
and they go as the Lord leads them. They have
Okay.
about each
It's longer than a
presentation is about 3
public
minutes.
service announcement, but
And
short
just as the
piece, so
Lord
we're
is
kind of
giving
helping
them
promote it.
to help strengthen their faith and strengthen their faith.
Have you done radio before, Bea?
Yes.
Okay.
37.5, and so we're kind of working around that. How do you want to say myself? Is that all? And how do we
No.
move to God? How do
You
we?
need
some
sugar.
I said, well, how do we-
There's sugar out there if you want it.
Terrible.
Help yourself. Oh, it
I
is
know I
on.
didn't put it
Terrible.
And so when you begin to really look at that dynamics of that, that's how we learn how to put things in priority in order and how.
They brought,
to be
they